Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of my Let's Play World of Tanks. And I'm in easily one of my favorite mediums that I've been working through recently. I mean, while the T-54 still holds a place in my heart as one of my favorite tanks, and the M46 Patton certainly is one of my better tanks, this little Panther 2 is incredible with the amount of accuracy, damage, and speed that it has. And I'm starting to learn that the Panther line, all the way up through the E50M, they're all basically great at ramming. If you ram something, it's going to do some crazy damage because of its weight class, speed, and I guess its shape maybe has a little bit to go into it too. But yeah, so I'm just generally having a good time with it, and it's one of those things where it's very accurate even on the move. You don't have to worry about the aiming in very often, but that's also a trick in the point of the whole patch 8.6 where your accuracy was increased. So it's kind of double duty here, that you have the German accuracy, which they're notorious for having, on top of the 8.6 accuracy, so you were just dumb accurate on the move, like that. And as you notice, actually, I've been noticing that a lot lately, that my game starts to freeze up when I go to fire a shot. It hangs for like a split second before recuperating, and don't know why, it just has complete frame drop for just that exact split second. Now, it's probably the settings that I have. I might have this thing cranked up a little bit too high, but I don't know. I'm going to pretend that I don't. And especially my ping has been up and down, which is the weird part as of the past couple patches, because that's, I live within probably, 20 miles of the server, so you'd think that it'd be better, but I mean, it is Comcastic internet that I have, so, oh man, who knows as to what the story is with that thing. But yeah, so I mean, overall, I'm very satisfied with the Panther 2. Again, it's just becoming one of my favorite little speedy, responsive tanks to play that can really be a jack of all trades. And I mean, I'm still falling into the problem where I need to not be so aggressive, because I find myself just rushing out, just killing stuff that way instead of playing it smart, playing it safe, and taking my time. I always seem to be a little too aggressive, and that's I talked about that a little bit ago, was being too overly aggressive and how it can bite you back, and you really need to be more cautious and take your time. And yeah, it's easier said than done. My playstyle is to be very aggressive, very upfront, and just to get in people's grill right away. So, still got to constantly remind myself of that. But one thing I've noticed is a little bit of a break in what the traditional crew skills and modules are. So I figured I'd actually, touch on those briefly, and that's that, we'll start with crew skills. Originally, they were saying that Brothers in Arms is the way to go, but that slowly has been phased out because it's only a 2.25, maybe 2.2% in terms of its, what increase it gives. So you want to factor that's not really much on most tanks, because most tanks have such a low reload already. You're talking maybe a tenth of a second, which in the grand scheme of things is nice to have that type of a quicker reload speed. That much more, responsiveness in the tank, that much more ability to, eliminate fire and have that much more, just the generalized little statistics that I can't come up with off the top of my head in terms of what its abilities are. So basically you get a little bit better repair, a little bit better accuracy, a little bit better reload time, stuff like that. But in reality, I'm seeing a lot more people move towards the whole idea of using a Sixth Sense setup as their first skill, because Sixth Sense is very, very, very powerful. I'm trying to come up with a term that's not going to sound broke, but yeah, it's very powerful. The simple fact that you have a 2 second to 2.5 second delay between when you're spotted versus when it lights up, that could be very telling for quite a few things. I mean, yes, there is still that delay, but that delay is just enough that people might still be trying to aim in on you. You might be able to dodge behind something. In fact, you can actually get on the back edges of rocks, and it will flare up, but it will have told you that there's people in the direction you're heading, whereas you'll still be safe. So it is a very important. See, like right here, I know that I'm spotted. Need to find out by what. I don't see it, so it's probably this Hummel. So that whole Sixth Sense is very, very powerful, and I easily am starting to place that in the place of Brothers in Arms. Of course, when you work your way up, you never want to put a perk in the slot. You either want the king of all, which is repair or camo, or of course the lesser ones, like if you wanted to have the what is it with the turret turning, the accuracy one where the turret turns, or the one where your smooth ride is the other one, stuff like that, or the better turn radius. That's what you want to work up while you're still going. But see, and I was able to back off there because I saw the little light bulb light up. So that's exactly right there is one of the major advantages, is I saw that I was lit up, so I immediately backpedaled, avoided a shot because he had to aim in on me. But yeah, so in terms of anything, you definitely want to go with like accuracy. You want to do any of the little ones you like. Repair is definitely the king of all at the moment. Get that up till you get up to about 100% if you're going to reset with gold. But if you're going to reset with credits, get up to about 150%, and then reset to 6 cents or Brothers in Arms. That is absolutely clutch at the moment. So let me go ahead and cover the battle report for this, and then I'll get back to talking about those in the next part of this video. Hopping right into these things here, we see that with the 5 times experience back on the 4th of July area time frame is when I actually was playing this battle. It's a wee bit old, sorry guys, but you know, it's still current to this patch. Yeah, so getting sharpshooter and can't talk, sharpshooter and sniper. There we go. Yeah, so yeah, I hit quite a few people in that one, killing, what is that, 1, 2, 3 people? Not too big of a deal, but hitting a significant amount of random people here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. And of course that means that I had to hit at least or shoot 10 times or 11 times, hitting 10 or something like that. But instead I was 16 for 18, so only missing twice. That's not bad. And that's what, 89%, 80%? Man, I can't see the stupid picture. MSI, you have a crappy image viewer. I want to go back to Windows. Anyway, so earning 60,000 credits is not bad at all, and the 7,100 experience as part of that 5 times is pretty good. So go ahead and take a look at the team score, and we can see that both teams performed pretty well, but it's just one of those things where we were able to send a nice force behind them, and that really hurt them, was that whole flanking action that we did there. And then, yeah, the team really, both sides carried their weight pretty effectively. I scored up on top with experience and damage, but not by too much. Zara right behind me, I mean directly behind me with like, what is that, 70 some odd less, or 80 less damage than me. So I beat him out just barely. And we'll take a look at the detailed report then, and we see that, yeah, I earned a little bit of experience and credits extra for the bonus event that was going on at the time. I guess that was the most damaged. I earned an extra little percentage more. But overall, not a bad match at all. 1377 for experience received. Hey, that's kind of funny. That was my old address when I lived back in St. Louis, Missouri. It was 1377. Huh, go figure. So, yeah, small bit of history. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much covers that Panther 2. Easily becoming one of my favorite tanks. So let's go ahead and quickly jump into the next battle. Apparently I get a lot of, what are these, the encounter battles, because I seem to get these quite often, and they're actually one of my favorite types of battles. I don't like the assault and defend map at all. It just doesn't seem to work for my playstyle. But these encounter maps, for some reason, it's where I do my best at. I don't really do so well in the standard maps anymore, and I don't even have the checked box for the assault map, so that kind of rules that out. But anyway, where was I? We were talking about 6 cents, and how that one's actually taken over. Now, that's actually subject to change, because rumor has it, well, not rumor, Sir B actually has stated that he really does not like how 6 cents operates and thinks that it should be removed or toned down quite a bit. And I mean, you gotta also remember that 2.5 seconds for that activation is quite a long time. I've actually played in my Panther 2, had it chime off and been dead like the moment it went off, because it took them that 2.5 seconds for a bunch of tanks to range in on me and just waylay right on top of me. So it's still, I highly do recommend it actually as either your first or second skill after you get it all upgraded, of course. Like I said, you're definitely going to need to be running ooh, getting shot from the side. You're definitely going to need to run like repair or something like that for your first skill, because you can't really get those perks right away because they don't activate till you get to 100%. So you got to make sure that you get something that is active the whole time. Like I said, repair, or the trying to remember what the aiming one is, but yeah, the gunner has aiming instead of going brothers in arms. You get that, and stuff like that. You want to get skills first, and then perks you want to do as a retrain, because you want to be able to automatically default right back into it being active. And I mean, that's what I do. I'm still gonna probably lean more towards brothers in arms, just because I like the fact that I get a 2.25% better crew. But I mean, that's better for like artillery, for heavy tanks, medium tanks, and tank destroyers. Well, mediums and lights especially really don't need brothers in arms as much. But that Sixth Sense definitely is useful on absolutely everything. And I mean, it's hard not to recommend that first. But I'm luckily almost all of my crews are 200% in crew training, just because of the fact that I bring them along the entire way up. So it's not like I'm starting low, and I'm getting into the habit of 100%ing them right away, and then just continually upgrading them that way. So that way I'm just having to work on crew skill the whole time, as opposed to work on tank skill and then crew skill. So it just generally works out for me that way. Now, as for equipment, I mean, generally my loadout, depending on the tank of course, is rammer, gun lane drive, or vertical stab, and vents. I see a lot of people are moving away from vents though, because they're saying 10% isn't that big of a difference when it comes to these fast firing tanks. Because sadly it doesn't show it here, but my SU-101 fires under 6 seconds. 10% is what? Maybe a 60th of a second? So half a second at best? No, not even. It's probably less than that. But I mean, it's yeah, 10% of that is probably going to be more like even shorter. I don't have a calculator in front of me, and I'm terrible at math in my head that quickly, which is surprising for being someone who's in computer science industry. Anyway, yeah, so people are starting to want away from that and go more towards optics, because optics is an always active extra 100 or so yards for viewing distance, and viewing distance is pretty clutch in this game, being able to spot your enemy and being able to fire at them before they can spot you, especially if you're on the move, which is what is very nice about that sort of a that equipment. So I'm seeing a lot of people saying that they're moving away from vents, which is one that I always recommend, and into that coated optics, which is, it's not bad. It's expensive, but it's not a bad option. Whereas vents, yeah, you get 10% better crew, but you're not getting that extra 100 yards of view range, which is it's tough to argue against. And I'm tempted to try it, but of course that's going to matter on the tank. Light tanks, yeah, I could see it being very useful. TDs, maybe. Ooh, the battle ended way too quickly. So I guess I'll record a third one then, after I talk about the battle performance. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this SU-101's growing on me too. I mean, its rate of fire is too hard to ignore. Yeah, it's no BL-10, but it's firing easily, what, 2.5 shells for every one that the BL-10 fires? It doesn't do nearly the same damage, but this thing has speed on it. It has a great camo coefficiency, and of course, like I said, rate of fire is something to nothing to be ignored, because you could bounce a BL-10 shell if you're good about it, and then they're stuck there for pretty much, a whole 20-25 second reload portion while you're pegging people away with the smaller, weaker gun, but yet just decent pin, great rate of fire. But anyway, I digress. So we look at the personal score here, and I get second, what is that thing called? Mastery Gunner, or yeah, I got Mastery Gunner, I got Sniper, and then I got Ace Tanker second class, or whatever it's called. But yeah, I mean, I spotted 5 people, killed 3, damaged, yeah, exactly, 5 people. But yeah, the spotting people was just sitting there right in that little downward area. I don't think they were ready for it. And of course, usually you don't see many people go in there. That battle's mostly won and lost on the hill. So we were lucky to stall them out on the hill long enough that we were able to cap behind them, and I was able to get around behind people and take them out. So let's go ahead and look at the team score, and we see I did a crap ton of damage, 3,000 something, 3,652, I had to look real close, with 1,000 experience flat out. So that's not bad at all. While I could have done a heck of a lot better to qualify for the crazy TD battle thingy thing that Wargaming's putting on right now, nah. I mean, this is a solid performance in my opinion. For some reason, I haven't been able to get those Top Guns I've been used to getting way back in the day, in the Pools medals and the whatever else that I've got, the Raleigh Walters and the 10 kill medals. I haven't gotten any of that lately. It's just been a, I don't want to say it's a dry spell. It's just that the game has changed its meta, and I'm not able to keep up with that. But anyway, our team, yeah, they did pretty well. I mean, we had a few people who didn't do any damage, but I mean, there's a plenty of different reasons why they might not have, either bouncing off people. I mean, I've had plenty of 0 damage games in my career. Maybe they bounced off people, just didn't get into the battle, they chose a different route, who knows. But it looks like both teams performed pretty well. It's just we had a very strong top 3 that just leveled the other team, doing double, if not more damage than their top, like, 5 people. So it just was luck that we had a bunch of people in the right spots, coordinating and just crushing them that way. So we'll go ahead and move on to the detailed report finally here, and we'll see that, yeah, 10 for 10, with 10 penetrations, dealing 3,600 damage, and yeah, not much in the way of received damage, only one actually penetrating hit for 400 and some odd change, so that hurt. But needless to say, it was a pretty good battle there. I'm not displeased at all. 1,500 experience, or not, 1,500 experience when you calculate it out based on the modifiers, so I am pretty proud of that performance there. I'd say I did pretty well in my opinion. Anyway, so let's go ahead and jump back into one last one, and we'll wrap it up there, and I'll talk about the nice, lovely, what do you want to call them, modules that I equip. This is the last of the footage I'm actually sitting on, so once this one's done, I am hurting for some more footage. I'll have to play a little bit harder, play better, and not suck it up every round like I have been doing the past week. So yeah, where was I? We were talking about the modules and how people have actually been equipping the coded optics more and more. Now I could see that being useful on, like I said, mediums, scouts, TDs. SPGs definitely not. You want, if they don't already have it, Vince or Camo on those thingies. But heavies, it's kind of a toss-up. And some mediums and TDs as well might not need it because they already have either a very good view range like the Germans, or just they aren't frontline tanks that you wouldn't want to be up there spotting people. But then again, giving that little extra bit of distance does also give you the ability to see people beyond the standard distance where you normally would. You might be able to spot people just a little bit further, you'd be able to shoot at people who are just that little inch or two beyond what the distance is that you currently have. Stuff like that would actually make a big difference in the game, and you can put hits on people that normally you wouldn't be able to. And that's something that the Vins don't give you. So their argument is very, very good for why you should run the coded optics instead, and especially the fact that it helps on the move as opposed to just the binoculars, which can only help while you're standing still after, what is it, 5 seconds or so, just like camouflage. So there's kind of a nice little twist into why that one works so well, and I have to agree, it actually is a good idea. Now, I'm still sticking with Vince for a lot of my tanks. I mean, these are also all good ideas that people are recommending, but I'm not 100% sold on them personally. I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing currently because I already have all this gear and equipment loaded out. But I mean, in terms of, like, if you don't have a fully geared out tank and you're looking for what to buy, it's hard to argue with that because of the simple fact you're able to put more hits on people downrange that you normally would not be able to. So I mean, that really can go for almost any tank, because if you're able to reach that extra 50 yards in game that normally you wouldn't be able to draw and see, and you'd be able to put hits on a target, then that certainly outweighs the 10%, you know, the extra couple split tenths of a second on your reload, or the tenth of a second of a quicker range in time. I mean, stuff like that's not a big deal if you're able to hit people beyond where you normally would. And so, I mean, that argument's hard to really, you know, dispute. I still personally am liking running Vince. I like that little bit of increase, but I might have to force myself away from it more and more, at least with tanks where I don't have any gear equipped on them. Like if I have to choose between purchasing now Vince or the coded optics, I might, in that case, swap to coded optics instead of Vince, just to see if it, how much it makes a difference. And of course, it's, you know, if you're not already running the Vince, you won't probably notice it, so it won't be that big of a deal. But I mean, there's something to be said about if you're running it on like a BL-10 carrier or any sort of a very long reload, you're definitely going to want to have that Vent, because you're going to want to cut that time down as much as possible. On those, it could be as much as a second. Artillery going to mean a lot more. But again, artillery is one of those funny things where you'd never put coated optics on anyway. But I mean, in terms of like a medium tank where it's firing like this thing, where it's about every 8 seconds, yeah, I could totally see where, you know, there's no real difference between 8.2 versus 8.4 in terms of your load time. Whereas, you know, now being able to hit people from the safety of a hill where your camp spot would normally make you have to wait until they get up close, I could see that working out better. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you got to weigh it out per tank, per map. You really got to think about what's going to work best for you, what you're going to like, and what's going to kind of make it so that you can get more. Of course, the name of the game here is damage. So the more damage that you can output, the better, especially if you have that extra 50 yards of range that they might not have to counter you with. I mean, there's also that fact. You might be outside of their distance now with those coated optics, whereas with the Vince, you'd be probably about the same distance. So that might be 1 or 2 hits that they would take trying to close in on you that normally they would not have. So, I mean, it's a really, really fine argument to make. So, like I said, I'm going to try it on some of any tank that I buy that I don't necessarily have the gear for it waiting on a different tank ready to be moved over. So I believe like my British stuff, once those get up to a tier in which I'm ready to, well, British and Chinese, once they get up there into the portions where they're going to start needing gear, obviously they're tier 5, so if I have gear for them, it's just random stuff that I just have laying around. Maybe that's when I'll buy some coated optics. And of course, right now, they actually have well, tomorrow, which is when this video will probably come out, or the day before, because this might come out on Saturday, they have one of those challenges for the week, where if you spot, is it week or month? Or half month? I don't remember. Anyway, it's if you spot 30,000 damage, which by no means is an easy task. 30,000 is a whole lot of damage. You get a free set of coated optics. That is awesome. So, the more damage you spot, the closer you get to a free pair of coated optics. And coated optics are not cheap. They're what? They're either 300 or 500. I don't remember off the top of my head, but either which way, that's huge just to have that amount of cash just given to you, for lack of better terms, and especially on a very useful item on tanks that you're seeing more and more of the higher tier people moving to. But I mean, that's probably going to wrap it up here for the video portion. I'll of course cover the end of this tank, but I mean, I hope that gave you guys some ideas of what you should save up for, what you should buy, what you should do crew experience-wise. Just kind of make that all work for you. Take my recommendations and, of course, apply your own experience and go from there. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up, and we can call it there. Yeah, this video is a little on the longer side. I'm trying to keep them down to about 15 minutes, but this one's running up to about 25, so I'll try and burn through these real quick. This was, of course, a 5x experience battle back on the 4th of July weekend-ish area, so I'll quickly burn through this one. We ended up getting Mastery Ace Tanker, which is awesome. I love picking those up every now and again. They have a nice little sense of accomplishment when you hit any of the Mastery Tankers. Third, second, first, and then Mastery, or Ace. They're all nice little perks that you get when you do well. Just a nice little bonus just to pat yourself on the back. I mean, it's not a bad thing when you get them. Anyway, also getting Mastery Gunner there, scoring 51,000 credits and about 9,000 experience. So not bad at all. Damaging what? An extra 1, 2, 3 extra people on top of the 5 that I killed. So 8 people damaged, 5 of them killed. Not too bad at all, and of course I got a little bit of spotting damage on a Panther in the T25-2. No, needless to say, not a bad battle at all. I had a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm really starting to like this tank, and I'm sorry that I had to subject you guys to 2 of them, but I mean, it's too hard to not play it. It's really fun. It's a great tank. It has a lot of different little perks to it that I like. It's just an all-around good tank. So let's go ahead and move on to the team score, and we see that, yeah, I was underneath the BL-10 carrier. It did 4,300 damage, I did 31, so quite a bit of difference, but not too shabby. Our team, of course, doing pretty well. The other team, they had one guy who was acing it. Look at that, he had 3,600 damage, getting 4 kills, and then another guy right under him getting 3,100 damage, and sadly, the rest of their team, they tried, but they just couldn't couldn't do it. It just wasn't in the cards. Sometimes there's just some things you can't do. The RNG just trolls you, and your shots go wild or they low roll, and sometimes it's just not there for you. And I mean, that's probably what happened here. Anyway, I scored about, what is that, 1,200 experience. Gilly right below me scoring 1,000 experience. Not a bad little match between the two of us. Our team, of course, like I said, doing pretty excellent too. So let's go ahead and look at the detailed report. And we see that I did 3,100 damage. Excellent work with 15 shots fired, 13 of them hitting, and 13 of them penetrating. So all hits were penetrating hits. What do you know? And that was a little bit of spotting damage, not too much, all of about 260. But scoring decent cash. And of course, the final results for that experience earned was 1,800. Not a bad little credit or amount of experience there. I'd say that's pretty high up there, even before the 5-time credit. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. I want to thank you all for tuning into this episode of my Let's Play World of Tanks. I hope I educated you guys on like the movement of where we're starting to see some people go with their crew skills and the modules they pick. So hopefully that gives you guys some ideas. But anyway, let me know what you guys use and what you think. Of course, as I said, that's all up to personal opinion. That's kind of what I'm looking to maybe work my way into. So we'll have to see about it. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next episode.